Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the boardroom. I wanted to start off this evening kind of on a somber note. Many of you who are on Facebook with me may have seen the post. I've been involved in a CEO club with John Brown for 25 years. And there's a core group of us that have been together for a very long time. We're good friends. We've worked on each other's companies for decades. And I am sad to report tonight, and again, Stuart's been on the panel here many times. Stuart passed away on the 12th. And I know John will share this in with me. He was a good friend, a good mentor of mine. He's been an investor in my companies for many years. So if you would join me in just a moment of silence to honor Stuart and his family. Thank you, and wish Stuart's family quick healing, and we're all gonna truly miss him for those that have known him. So John and I were talking about the Shark Tank about 7 years ago, thinking that the Shark Tank was very entertaining, but we wanted to come up with something that was more educational. Both John and I and many of us have a real passion for entrepreneurship, and we want to see entrepreneurs succeed, and that's what the boardroom is about. It's a lot more than just the presentation that goes on. There's a lot of networking that happens, a lot of relationships that are built here, and we try to be as educational as possible. So if you're wanting to raise money for a business, go back and watch the past boardrooms. They tell you how angel investors think, what we're looking for, and it'll give you some good advice on how to do your presentation. So let's now go to our panelists for introductions, and we're going to start off with my long-term partner and friend, John Brown.
Thank you, Charles. Good to be here. Thank you very much. I'm very blessed. I have a wife of 58 years, 3 sons, 3 brothers, a sister-in-law, and 8 grandchildren, all live in Denton. And it doesn't get much better than that. I was born and raised on a farm, cotton farm in West Texas, went to University of Wisconsin, got an engineering degree, got an MBA from Texas Tech, was in Vietnam in 68 and 69, and worked for Conoco for 5 years as a staff engineer, plant engineer, and plant foreman, and senior buyer. Until I met an entrepreneur one night on an airplane, and we went to Billings, Montana, and I wound up working with him for a year and a half before starting my own company. We sold metal buildings and steel frame homes for 28 years, which I sold in the early 2000s. And the only 2 do-overs I have in my life is I'd never sell my company, and I'd spend more time with my boys while they were growing up. I had a stroke about a year ago. I still have my passion. Put a lot of sand in my gearbox. I don't function as well as I would like to function, but I'm going to get back there again. But my passion is my faith, my family, my health, and business of all shapes and all sizes. I'm a 38-year member, lifetime member of the CEO Club, a big fan of Charles and the boardroom, and I love business of all shapes and all sizes. It's good to be here.
And John's been on my board of directors for a decade or better.
Long time.
My name is Denise Banks, and I am the founder of an organization called Women Building Wealth Globally, where we empower women to be financially independent. We connect women with tools, resources, platforms to be able to take their businesses to the next level. I've also worked with Mr. Horton in many different capacities, worked for him about 22 years ago or so at a company. We're both then in our mid-20s. I have we lost contact, then reconnected with him again, I think about 7 or 8 years ago, and came to work for his current company, where I did coaching and development with his management team. I have also been blessed enough to be mentored by him, co-founded a company with him, a business with him, which is pretty much in pre-launch BoardRoom Edge, which I'm extremely excited about launching that. I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, but what I'm passionate about is just empowering women, teaching women how to really network and build, cultivate, organic relationships and just really taking those to that next level, teaching people all about leverage and applying some of the things that I learned being around so many different investors, and take those things and teach people what it is exactly that investors want. What are they looking for? What do they want to see? What turns them on? What turns them off? And so that's what I'm super excited about. And then I'm excited to be joining this panel today with people like Mr. John Brown and Ben and Liz. This is absolutely incredible. So happy to be here this evening. Thank you.
Liz,
Well, my name's Liz, and can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Prior to getting started with my current company, I was in healthcare for 10 years. I helped to build medical clinics all over the world. I was a nurse, and then when they figured out that every clinic that I touched and the systems that I put into place not only had better patient outcomes, but made them a lot more money, anywhere from, actually my record is going from in the red to in the black in 3 months. They were like, hey, you should probably be in business more so than, you know, just a nurse seeing patients, although we love both sides of you. And from there, that launched me into a capital company. I ended up investing with my partner, who's a Purple Heart recipient, an Army veteran, into 25 different industries. So I know a lot of really weird facts about like the Florida Wildlife Commission. So we have a fishery out there, the cannabis industry, merchant services is another big one. I mean, we are all over the place. So currently right now, I'm the CEO of Redlux Productions, which I know my crew was saying they were here supporting me tonight as a panelist that Charles graciously invited me to participate in. And at Redlux Productions, you know, we just help to tell compelling stories and represent underserved communities in the media world. So we do work with a lot of special needs. Ken, I know you were talking about something that we need to get with on you, but we want to make sure that everybody gets represented, everybody has a voice, and that, you know, we can do it in a good way.
And last but not least, Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben Derry. I can't help it, I got the weird last name. But I was in the transportation industry for 24 years and realized I'd made everybody millions. And so I decided I'd better step out there and do it for myself. And so I had the biggest cleaning company in the home building industry. We've been around 17, 18 years and have great management that works for me. And so I stepped out and started doing a lot of other projects. I'm in technologies. I'm in a group of guys. We have first right of refusal on all electronic technologies out of Georgia Tech. We work with a guy that invented Bluetooth to bring some other products to the marketplace. But more importantly, I'm blessed to know everybody in Dallas, and everybody that knows me knows that if they've got something and they need a like-minded person, I'm the guy you go to. So I started a company called BPD Ventures. And unfortunately, nothing has been done under BPD Ventures. What I do is I end up putting business deals together. We have 8 bids on projects for water cleaning in foreign countries. We do oil and gas technologies. We do man camps. We're cleaning up water, frack water. I probably at any one time am working on 40 deals. And so I'm blessed in that regard. I got to meet Charles. We've been to lunch numerous occasions, and we have a lot of opportunities that we're both interested in. So it's been a blessing to meet Charles. Thanks for inviting me.
And thank you all for being here. What a great panel. My name's Charles Horton. I'm a serial entrepreneur as well. Started in flea markets. So actually I started selling turquoise and then lemonade and all that kind of stuff growing up. But big businesses, I had 150 employees in high school mowing lawns and laying grass, a lot of work. Decided that I didn't want to work so hard. I thought having a lot of employees would mean I wouldn't be mowing lawns. No, people don't show up when I was mowing more lawns than I thought was humanly possible. So that took me into, I found myself into a flea market. I'm like 14, I think I couldn't drive yet, so I think I was 13 or 14 years old. found myself in a flea market in Austin, Texas. No one would take a check. So I went to the flea market and said, would you give me free rent, and would you build me a booth to do check cashing? They said, sure. The next problem I had was money. I didn't have any. And I went to the flea market and said, you're taking in all of the cash from the concessions. Can you let me have that? And I was getting $200,000 to $250,000 before I could drive at 13, 14 from the flea market, and I was cashing checks at 10%. And none of the vendors in the flea market took checks. After a little while, I thought I was cashing so many checks, I was starting to get close to running out of cash. So I started having the merchants go ahead and take the checks, and then at the end of the day, they would come and line up behind my booth. I'd sit there with a calculator. They'd come with the tape, and then I'd verify the tape, and then I would write them a check for their checks, deposit their checks. They would deposit my check, and everything cleared in the end. That led me to starting a check verification guarantee business, which took me through the age of 30. I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill around 18, 19, and read it over and over and over. Set goals of being a millionaire by 30, a billionaire by 50. And in the check verification guarantee business, I was very competitive. I didn't want to lose business, and so I didn't think through profit, and didn't make a lot of money in the business. And the most I ever made personally was $60,000 a year, yet I was doing $20 million in revenue and had 150 employees. So I decided about 6 months before my 30th birthday that I needed to change my goal from being a millionaire to being a liquid millionaire. Sold out within probably 3 months to Telecheck. Was thinking I was retiring for life. That didn't work out very well. Us entrepreneurs need our passions, and sitting alone in a room when you used to have 150 employees, day trading is what I did. Didn't work out so well, so I started my current company that's been going about 20 years now, which is a subprime loan company that does signature loans, installment loans, and title loans. And I have locations in 4 states doing that. And I love angel investing. I have roughly 10 businesses that I'm working with at this point. Up until I met Jay Rogers, one of our long-term friends, I had lost in every single angel investment that I made. One of the things, if you watch our videos, you'll hear me say over and over and over again, is that what Jay taught me is that when you're making investments, you have to have either liquidity, which only comes from a public company, or control. And so that's been the philosophy that I've used since. I've set up here many times over and over since I started doing that. I've never taken a loss. I no longer can say that. I have taken a loss within the last month, unfortunately, but still plenty of good ones going. So I told you a minute ago that I had a goal of being a billionaire by 50. I turned 50 in March of this year, and I am not a billionaire. So I think I got really comfortable. I live a good lifestyle. You know, you're at my house here. I do what I want. I travel when I want. I've delegated. One of Jay Rogers' other lessons was your first job when you start a business is to work yourself out of a job. And I've done that very well. I delegate very well, and there's people in my company responsible for everything. And the main things that I do is legal, and I'm the rah-rah guy that keeps the vision going and keeps everybody up and motivated. But still, that billion-dollar thing has been sticking to me, and I've been coming up with more and more ideas. I had a guy that many of you might have met that is big into business plans and likes to plan out things. He has an MBA. I barely got out of college. I've never done a business plan except for banks who might want them, and then I have no idea what the business plan says. I just have my CFO come up with it, and I never even look at it. Hopefully I don't have a bank watching this. But I've done really well not doing business plans. And so he was telling me a couple of months ago, he was saying, Charles, I think you're just lucky because it's not your management abilities or your leadership abilities. I think you're just lucky and you get in things at the right time. And so I was saying, okay, I'll take that. I got out of the check verification guarantee business when I was 30, right before I turned 30, but that was in 1999. And if you look at the Nielsen report, who managed like checks and credit cards, and they do reports on all of that, check writing took a dive starting in 2000. probably many of you do not write checks, but more than like me, I may write one check a month, if that, to somebody doing work here that doesn't take credit cards. So I got out of it at the right time, so yeah, I was lucky. I got into another business right at the beginning, and it went really well. So yes, I was maybe lucky that time too. But there's always something new that's coming along, and so I'm trying to find out what that new thing is. So whenever something new and big comes, you see crazy evaluations coming, and you see money being thrown at it. So 3 weeks ago, a company called Tilray came out public in the markets on the Nasdaq. They're a Canadian company in the cannabis business. This company was doing $20 million in revenue with an $8 million loss. When they came out public, they came out with a $2 billion valuation. So I put this out on my Facebook page, and several of my regular Facebook friends came, many of them lawyers and investors and businessmen, and said, we need to do that. we need to get into the business and do that. So I went I was in Toronto this morning, and I went to the Cannabis Exposition show with 5,000 people there for Canada. Canada goes completely legal with recreational cannabis in 7 weeks. They're the first G7 country to do that. And if you look at the map, it is changing worldwide at a remarkable rate. 2 weeks ago, they thought that the UK would be the last country in Europe to go. They're now thinking that it may happen this year. And countries all over the world are going legal in this. And so I really believe that this is the next big jump worldwide. The U.S. has the States Act, which is circulating. If that passes, it takes the federal law issue off the table. Right now, if you're in the cannabis business and you're touching the cannabis, you are violating federal law, and you could, if Sessions wanted to, you could be spending 30, 40, 50 years in prison. It's not very likely, they say, that he's going to do anything, but the risk has always been too great for me to get in until the States Act passes. But everybody in that group thinks that it's going to pass within the year. So these are the kind of things that I do and I think on, and maybe I'm just lucky, but I think this is going to be the area that I'm going to strike on. So I'm heading off to Portland on Monday to see people. I now have companies that are wanting to sell that I can go see. So pretty exciting times. But that's what entrepreneurship is to me, is finding things and finding ways to do them better and to make money. One interesting thing I'm going to leave you with before we get to our presenter, my original thought was I want to go out and buy probably some cultivation places, some dispensaries, maybe some oil producers, and buy whatever I could. And one of the venture capitalists that was talking at this industry said, how many, using liquor as an example, how many liquor stores, chains, would you want to invest in versus Amazon? So that really had me thinking. So for a long-term investment, I don't think I would probably be stepping up to want to own a chain of dispensaries, but it's probably a good in and out. While the fire is hot, get in there, go public, get that $2 to $10 billion valuation, hit that billionaire goal, and figure out what to do next. So that's my story today, more than I normally talk up here. Let's talk really quick about the boardroom now. We, first of all, are here as educational purposes. This is not a pitch to you on TV or you in the audience for making any investments. This is for educational purposes only. If any of the panelists are interested in investing and they're accredited investors, then that would be between the presenter, the owner, and those individual investors that are accredited investors. So this is for educational purposes only. How we work is we do a maximum of a 15-minute presentation. That will be Sergio in just a minute doing his presentation. So we say that takes 15 minutes maximum. Then the panelists are going to ask up to 15 minutes worth of questions. Then we go to the advice phase. And remember the two different things. When it's question time, please, panelists, don't give advice. And when it's advice time, you can't ask questions anymore. In the advice stage, after the panelist is done, though, we're going to use a Think and Grow Rich mastermind idea. And now we go to the audience for the advice. So we want to know what you think about his business, positive, negative. At this point, though, Sergio, you're not allowed to talk during the advice stage, so just advice, no questions. When it is, if you are taking questions from the audience, please make sure you stand up and use your microphone. If you're watching us live, you can type in the questions, and I'll get the questions on my iPad, and I will ask them for you. So you're free to, you're welcome and encouraged to participate, whether you're watching live or you're here in the audience live with us. Without any further ado, let's all give Sergio a big round of applause.
Charles, appreciate it. Thank you so much for the introduction, Charles. One of my objectives in life is to get you to be a billionaire. So I'm going to present today the way that he's going to be able to make that jump. I'll try to get the PowerPoint going. There he goes. Siros Fitness System is what I'm going to be talking about today. Siros is the name of my father's business back home in Argentina. It was a construction company. And I want to talk about how you can get fit in 30 days, effortlessly and forever. I know it sounds really challenging and probably a little bit kind of crazy, but to be honest with you guys, I believe I'm in the best shape in my life, and I want to show you how you can be in the same shape, best shape of your life. There it goes.
Imagine if you had an opportunity to change your fitness lifestyle to get those desired results that you wanted, especially as women. Some of the health issues that we have to deal with, you know, we're not as strong sometimes to pull certain things, but to be able to work with Sergio, he has a system that is going to revolutionize the way people work out and the desired results that they want to get. So I'm really excited to be here with him today. I was his lab rat
Gym mom.
Sergio.
Yeah, this product I developed because, like everybody, you go to the gym 3-4 days a week, you get tired, you get exhausted, you don't really want to come back. I developed this system which is stressless. And what I realized was that instead of me not wanting to go to the gym, every day I would go out, get up and think about, oh, I have to go to the gym tonight. This is a stressless system, and we're going to talk about how it works.
So Sergio, I'm super excited. I'm ready to try this thing out. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
You bet. Right, and these are the benefits that we get from lifting weights. You can just look at some of them. One I want to emphasize is the one on diabetes. If you work out, you can reduce about 60% the chances of getting diabetes. Okay, and we also work out for the aesthetic. We want to look good, right? So if we have so many benefits, I'm going to ask you these questions. Why can't we sustain our health and fitness forever? And I came up with some of these issues in which I divided in two different groups. One of them is human performance and behavior, and the other ones are processes and technologies. The first one is the human anatomy and challenges that we have. And one of them is the most important one, the one that I discovered and I tackled very heavily after spending 5 years working on it, is one that I addressed with that little belt that you're going to get to see and put in your hand so you can get a feeling of what it does. And basically what I realized, and actually what happened to me was that, you know, I played soccer all my life and rugby, and about 10 years ago I went back to play soccer, and in 3 months, I broke my ankle. Okay, so I was out of soccer. I went to play, decided to go into cycling, and I cycled a lot. I did a couple of 100-mile races, and again I had a crash, broke my wrist. So I decided to work out, lift weights more often. Well, I developed a tennis elbow. Anybody in the audience have tennis elbows or golf elbow? Okay, it's very painful. You just cannot do anything. So it was either not working out and get fat and lazy and watch TV, or coming up with a solution that you guys can have in your hands. The belt, it's something that can be adjusted. There's a Velcro piece in there that you can adjust according to where it's positioned at. Okay, then after 30 years of age, we developed what's called sarcopenia, which basically we lose the ability of developing muscles. In other words, we lose muscle to a percentage of 3 to 5% per decade. And also the behavior part of us is that we want instant results, and we want, let me ask you, I've seen some of you guys that you look great and you work out. How many people here enjoy going to the gym? Okay, we have a good number of people. Okay, one of the reasons that we fight or we have a little bit of a trouble going to the gym is that, it gets a little bit harder to repeatedly lift the same weights over and over and over. And then, we get hurt. We have different stresses in our joints. And that put a lot of stress in our workout. Then also, in addition to working out, you have to diet. And diet, or what is pretty common nowadays, the fasting, that's kind of hard to do. And then the technologies, I realized that now they're coming more and more into play with all the sensors and different technologies that we have available. But there's no process behind it. So it was an opportunity, and I saw the need for having all these processes, technologies, and addressing the human behavior at once to produce a solution. And that power belt that you guys have in place there, it's, as you can see, very simple. It's very light. It can be just placed in your bag when you go to the gym, and all you have to do is just use it, put it back, and that's it. It's easily adjustable. It's made out of cotton nylon, and it can be pushed up to, or can push up to 800 pounds of weight. Of course, I never pushed that level. See, here is a picture of me with some of the different uses of how I'm using the belt. As I said before, it bypasses the entire forearm. And the thing that it was kind of like a discovery for me, I realized that, I was enjoying working out. The first time I went, before I started using the belt, by Friday, it was hard for me to go back to the gym. I enjoyed going Monday, Tuesday was okay, Wednesday okay, and then Thursday and Friday was like, oh, I had to push myself to go to the gym. Once I started using the belt, it was like a whole different story. And it took me only a couple of weeks for me to realize that, wow, I don't have that stress anymore. I don't have that not wanting to go to the gym. It was the opposite. I really wanted to go to the gym. It was like, wow, I think I just doing something very interesting here. And what I realized is that not only allows you to do the isometric lifting, which is basically when you hold your position of lifting at the max position, but also it was like almost a complete isolation of the muscle. So everybody says about no pain, no gain, and I really disagree with this because it's actually more like lifting effortlessly. Or another way of looking at it is gains with no pains. That is my song, lifting weights. The first time we used it, we did that on Monday. And I'll see if, not the ease, but see how many more reps he's able to do. Okay, so that is the belt, and what I call the belt number one, okay? The reason was, number one is because, as you can see, you felt it, there's nothing but mechanical parts on that belt. Now, the system, the Siros fitness system, it's introduced in a unique and innovative system developed over the span of 20 years. What happened here was that I started working on that belt about 5 years ago, but previous to that, I've been, I guess, that applying my background in manufacturing, so I did a lot of data collection, you know, look at charts, look at my max, means, and trends. So I started doing this software, which was just using Excel, about 20 years ago. So 5 years ago, I started using the belt, and about January of this year, I knew that the Shark Tank was just passing by town. They had a convention here, an audition here in Dallas. I went to talk to the people there. So when I presented this, you know, I showed them, you know, I wasn't ready for showing the belt because there was nothing technologically advanced on it, but, you know, I showed them. Then when I showed them the charts, the person from Shark Tank went really crazy. It's like, oh my gosh, I love it. He really liked the fact that, you know, with the belt, he was able to not get hurt. And also, he was able to see the value of charting your progress when you're lifting weights. So he actually said, had I had those charts before, I would have never stopped working out. So it was a really good incentive to know that he was really into understanding how the software and the belt work together. But the most important thing about the system is that it allows the users to personalize and manage their own health and fitness. So how many people here, and you guys all manage businesses, and some of you guys are entrepreneurs like myself, how many people manage your own health and fitness? About half. How do you guys do that? I'm going to have to leave that question for after we finish the presentation, because I know it could take a long time, but I'm happy to see that there are many of you guys doing this. And this is what the system is about. First, we need to look at the behavior and the performance of the human part, which is a little bit about the different problems that we talked about. Why don't we go to the gym, right? Or why cannot we sustain forever the health and fitness processes that we put in place, or we do, no? The second one is human lifting. This is us doing the exercise. Then we have the hardware, the software, and then the processes. For the behavior and the performance, I see a great opportunity there for training and coaching. Therefore, I think the book is a great opportunity to convey all of this knowledge that we have, that we read or we collect on websites and so forth, that is a little bit spread out all over the place. See, it's kind of like all that information, that knowledge is in silos. On the hardware, what we introduce to that belt is the IoT, okay? And I'm going to pass a little bit of, I have one sensor that I brought that can be included that's going to be included. It's just an example of how good the technology, how small the technology is nowadays. That sensor, it's only $29 and contains 10 different sensors in there. For the software, is an application that there are a few applications for lifting weights, but nothing that kind of puts together everything. And then the process is a little bit of a continuous improvement processes, finite elements, and also quality control, which is everything that I've learned in manufacturing applied to this. When you have all these processes and the hardware and the software, then you can feed back that information to the human to look at how you perform the lift. Okay, this is the IoT, and basically the sensors. The difference between the way I visualize the way the sensors are going to be used or introduced in that belt is that the current, the people that are using hardware and software for lifting weights, they're using accelerometers, and that does not provide the type of information you need, which has to be very trendable for you to determine how you're doing, what's your performance of your lift. Eventually, those sensors are going to tell the user, or maybe an expert who could be his trainer in his gym or his trainer somewhere else in the world, what's going on, so they can develop a relationship based on data, accurate data, so they can learn what's going on, what needs to be done, and how the user can better his or hers lift. This is the software, and basically you manage your personal data. You have the software that analyzes how you lift, the trends, and then the continuous improvements. This is, how many people here that work out can tell me how did they do like 2 weeks ago compared with the last session? 1? What about 2? What about 3 months ago? 2? What about a year ago? 2, excellent. So we're talking about 5%. So basically here, and what I have to do, I have to, go to the gym, collect the data by hand, and look at it. And one of the things that's really excellent and very positive is that every time I go to the gym, I look at what I'm doing. Let's suppose I just lifted 200 pounds, one particular exercise. I look back and I look at what I did last week, and if I just did 2 or 3 more reps, boom, I'm happy. It's like instant gratification. So it's a positive feedback that I keep on doing and getting, and to a point when you accumulate it, in this particular case, over 7 weeks, I was able to lift 12,000 pounds more by using this process. These are the charts, the gains and the losses. This is when I was cycling. Went back to my high school weight. I had great legs, but my muscles were my shoulders were about this big, and my arms was about this big. The benefits, about 2 weeks ago, I just had a really bad Monday. I went to the gym. I applied this belt with the process. I came back home, and all the stress that I was going oh, this is going to happen, this is not going to happen, oh, this is going to happen. It went like, boom. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. So I believe that what this technology is, this belt and this process is allowing me to do is to generate more endorphins that I have ever generated in my whole life. So it's kind of like intriguing, but it's one of the greatest benefits. Ben is a guy about this big. It's not you, Ben, but you're a big guy too. So he's a semi-professional going into professional. He used it and he loved the way it is. This on the right is a doctor student, and he really believes that this is going to be a really fine weightlifting. I got a lot of people that they have tried it, and they all get really surprised and shocked by how of an isolation they get when they work out. It's proven, as I said before, I went from 4 times a week to 6 or 7. I do feel that my energy is balanced like never before. And another side benefit from all this is I'm sleeping like I have never slept in my life. This is the competition. I brought a couple of wrist belts. And those run between $10 and $40. This is the technology that uses accelerometer, and supposedly it takes a lot of time to enter the data. From a business perspective, there are 60 million people going to different gyms. Global market is $80 billion, and the USA is $28 billion. What I'm really interested in doing is in introducing this book that talks about how this process works, that teaches people how they can integrate cardio, lifting weights, dieting, because I think there is a missing link. In particular, since you don't introduce the belt that allows you to remove all the stress from the forearm. The market is women of all ages. Women have a challenge because they don't have the wrist and the strength on the forearm, the grip. so they cannot do a lot of the back exercises. And then every adult over 30 years old. A lot of people, when I talk about this product, they tell me about the rehab opportunities, so I'm looking into that too. And what I'm planning to do is get back with the person for Shark Tank. He asked me to send him a prototype, a functional prototype when it's ready. So as soon as I get one finished, I will be contacting him again. And definitely I'm going to be looking at some of the areas, fitnesses, the clubs, gyms, and so forth. I'm looking for a ghostwriter to help me out with this book. And the pricing is a little bit of what I'm expecting to price this instrument with sensors. And I'm looking for $200,000 investing for the power belt and the application. Okay, that hopefully to get some feedback or some interest or some advice on how to penetrate the health of group, the health market. I'm looking for, like I said before, a ghostwriter and investor. And also, if you don't believe that this belt can provide such a important, such changing energy, we can work together. I can show you how it works. And then if you think that this is something that it does what I say it does, then we can talk about, being a part owner or investor. And then the one thing that if you guys know LeBron James, let me know if I can get his contact information. He spends $1 million a year training. So I think that's pretty amazing. This is a team of advisors. I have great people helping me out with this process. And this is kind of a cheesy question, but if you really want to get into improving your health and fitness, just let me know and I can show you how you can also get fit in 30 days effortlessly and forever. I have one video here. Look at this, me without the belt. I'm lifting 3 plates on each side. So I can easily double or maybe improve by 40% the load while removing all the stress from lifting. All right, that's my contact information. And I think I'm a little bit behind time, but
Good job, Sergio.
thank you, thank you.
John, you always like the hot seat, so it's yours.
You bet. What are your sources of revenue?
I've just finished developing this. The startup, I started this business in January 2018, so I just developed all this. I spent all my resources and time on developing the technology. I have not made any sales calls or.
But how do you plan to generate revenue?
Well, the most immediate would be local gyms, Amazon, getting contacts with other vendors, either internet vendors.
It's going to be from selling the belt?
Yes. The belt is ready to be sold. Okay, the belt number 1. The number 2 with the sensor, that's what I want the investment resources. The first thing I want to do is just to get back with the people from Shark Tank, because that's what they asked me to do.
And how do you plan to market and sell?
Basically, developing the website and just going after all the different users that either go to gyms or they check some of the websites where they get information about health and fitness. What I want to do differently, John, is I want to finish or develop that book that teaches people how to work out, how the process comes together so they can, we have 150 million people who, are over 30 or between 30 and 75 years old. Most of them don't even know how to go back to the gym and work out, or they have bad memory or bad feedback from the last time they work out because, they're getting old, they cannot push as hard as they used to, so they cannot get in shape as fast as they can. So, I think that the book is going to be a differentiator that none of the other vendors have. I mean, you have vendors of health and fitness equipment that's all they do. Okay, we have gyms that they teach, or they have trainers, or they have, the facility, but they do not tell you or teach you how you can put all this, the software, the processes, and the belts, so you can put together a process that, like I said before, you get results immediately. In weeks you see results. You go to the gym and, you don't feel stressed. You just look forward to go to the gym. And once you do that, you get into that process, that cycle, you never stop. But none of the other vendors of equipment have that process. They don't have a book that can tell them how to use it. So I'm planning to put all this together as kind of like a sales and marketing campaign.
Is there anything proprietary? Do you have any way to protect yourself against Me Too's?
Yes, that's a good question, John. That belt 1 and 2 are patent pending. And the process is proprietary. So once I put in the book, it's not going to be no longer proprietary, but hopefully by then I'll have the initial
Thank you.
introduction to that.
Sergio, great presentation.
Thank you.
You had mentioned that the belt is ready for sale now. So is there an instruction manual? Or would somebody, if you were to go out and sell it tomorrow, do you have the instructions, the training?
No.
Okay.
At this moment, what I'm planning to do is first expand here locally, so I can, show you how to use the belt. So it would be kind of like individual personal training for that device. And with a little bit more time, my first objective is to have a website and videos so people can purchase the system, either Belt 1 or Belt 2, and go to my website and get an understanding of how to
So
use
you
it.
have training videos. So if
Yes.
they order the belt, they go online and they can see how to use
and
it to
that
train.
will eventually come with a book
Okay.
and so forth.
Because it is a
And the
health,
software
health
too,
and
of course.
wellness is a huge industry. And I'm just to piggyback on what John was asking, the sales strategy, which I think is going to be extremely important because it's a huge industry, not just in the gym, but you spoke about rehab, and so many different areas, so many different opportunities that you have. I think that sales strategy is going to be so key. I'm just wondering if you thought about having like independent sales agents or affiliates to go out and market this for you. I think it's going to be definitely easier than you trying to just train one person at a time.
I totally agree with you, Denise. Definitely, the initial effort would be to go to local gyms and expose how the belt works. Okay, but you're right about the market being huge, and how to get to that market, is something that definitely needs to be developed and
Okay. And
solved.
Sergio, how much is the system going to sell for?
The belt that you guys have seen, that goes anything between $30 and $75, $79. The $30 is the typical, a lot of people had that wrist belt they put in the back, so they can have, in addition to that, they can have one that is very simple. I'm sure that, once people start realizing how that helps them out with the back, then, on the chest and so forth, the isolation they get, they're going to be, more interested in the other, in belt 2 and so forth.
And
But I want to, go after the markets from the every user at the gym, and also the people that, as I said before, they're not working out anymore I want them to, read the book and get back in the gym through reading the book and looking at my website. And
Have you thought about your first year sales goal?
sorry?
Have you thought about your first year sales goal? Like how many systems do you want to sell and how many do you project or do you think you can sell in a year?
That is something that we have to get started with the sales. First, my first objective was just to finish all the technical deals, issues, get the patent pending, finish all the working prototype. My next immediate objective is start working on the website, training material, and immediately contact the Shark Tank as soon as I'm done with the Bell 2, which is the one that has all the sensors.
Okay, and last question, the sensor. Can you explain that a little bit more? The sensor, is that something is it in the belt when it's being used? Is it something that you have to, how did you get the data transfer this?
Yeah, that's what the IoT is all about. There are sensors in different places. There are going to be 2 on the belt.
Okay.
And then there are other areas that you can put the sensors whenever you have a contact with the machine. Okay, so that is just direct contact to the force. The problem that the current systems have is that you have to enter all the data by hand. From what I read, it can take up to 30 to 45 minutes extra every time you go to the gym of just data entry. But the sensors that we're planning to use are sensors that are contact, so therefore you do not need to add any data entry.
Wow. Okay.
So you're going to go to the gym, you're going to use the sensors, whatever you have a contact area, and then all that information, the distance travel, the force, the pressure, also the time, all that is going to be collected through the IoT, through a wireless Bluetooth, that is either going to go to a cell phone or a computing device. And then that information is going to go to your PC, where you have all the processes that you can look at, and so you can see all the trends and how your performance and other human behavior issues that you may have, and you may need some experts to help you out with.
Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you, Denise.
So, Siros being a family name in Argentina, I know you said you wanted to break into the local market, but if that name already has IP or intellectual property established in Argentina, have you thought about rolling out sales there and seeing if there's value to people purchasing based on the name?
Well, I'm using Siros Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're 2 independent names. My brand from Argentina is just a construction business. So I'm just going to use here sirosfitness.com. That's what I have registered.
Okay. I could not see everybody who's on your panel. I apologize, as there's a little bit of a stand in the way blocking my view. Do you have medical doctors or DCs or legal compliance on your team?
No. That's one area that, to be honest with you, Liz, I was not aware that I was going to get so much attention, but many people are telling me about the rehab, and just in the last 2 months, people just like, hey, there's a great market for applications of that in the rehab, and that's one of the things I'm here raising a flag saying, hey, if anybody has any knowledge or any way to contact people with experience with the hospitals, doctors, and so forth in the rehab, I would like to learn more about this.
I actually heard 4 different markets that you've kind of said that you're interested in playing in, but I'm going to focus on women because I know that's what you're most interested in. What is your plan to get women to buy and be interested in this, specifically women with previous injuries? Is it just to talk about the forearm strength, et cetera?
Yes, I go back to the book. I think that the book is going to be the best way to convey what this process can do for women and for people over 30 years old. I think that there is a lack of information or knowledge of how can you put something together, how you can put a gym, how you can put lifting weights, yoga, dieting, cardio, and how women can go back can increase the amount of weights, of lifting weights that they do. Because if you see, I can ask you, when you go to the gym, I see it personally, I see a lot of women doing a lot of lower body exercises, but they do very little in the upper body. And I think that if they realize how this belt can help them out, increase, their shoulders, their back, their posture, and make their shoulders broader so they can look actually thinner, I think they're just going to be, very happy with it. In particular, the fact that, there's no stress after they lift weights.
So I just have one more question for you. What would prevent you from generating revenue from your Belt One sales and then applying it for your IoT project?
That's what I have in place right now. My idea is to self-fund the IoT with the sales from the Belt One.
Okay.
Which of course will depend on the website, which depend on the videos, which is all part of the sales and marketing project.
Okay. Well, that's the last one I have. Pass it on to you.
Well, I have to make a confession. I met with this gentleman for about an hour and a half one day to go through his product with him, and I'm actually trying to set up a meeting with a personal trainer, friend of mine, to let him use it and see how it works in action. Having said all that, the one thing that I don't know if you've thought about or not, but generally weightlifting is free weights and machine weights, okay? So is this product is restricted just to machines, is that correct?
No, there is an adapter that can be used to the free weights, but I would say that it's 95% guided towards machine and also the cables. It's great for that. In particular, as I'm targeting the people 30 to 75. If you restrict the amount of movement and you focus on the bigger, larger muscles, you're going to get the biggest gains. Free weights are great. You can use this belt for that by lifting weights with a free weight here versus putting the weight on the belt and lifting here. I have used it and gained maybe a 20 to 30% increase on weights that I'm allowed. I can lift more weights by having the belt here versus here without putting any stress on the wrist. And the isolation that I get when I do triceps, it's crazy. So difficult to do a tricep isolation, when you use machines or whatever you use, but with this, it's perfect.
Yeah, when I left, I was really confused on the distribution of the product, and your marketing approach is going to have to really be one that encompasses every aspect of this thing. And I noticed you said that you really haven't thought about the marketing side as opposed to getting it to the market. Has anyone ever sat down with you to teach you how to formulate a game plan?
Not for this particular apparatus, not for this industry. No.
So when you've talked to investors, have they ever said, how do I get my money back? And what's the game plan for taking this to the market and all of this happening so we can make money with it?
Yeah, Ben, I think that you are the first investor I talk with.
Okay.
So, and ever since we talked, I have talked to a couple of people that are in the industry just to get some feedback. My main objective is just to get this prototype finished, get in touch with the Shark Tank people, and then start approaching the local market, go to different gyms, finish the website, and then go about that, focus on the book, because I think there's a lot of opportunities for people to realize how the process, it's something else that I had to prove. I mean, I've seen the benefits myself, but I cannot bring somebody else that can say, hey, Sergio's process does work, and I'm sleeping like a baby. I don't have any stress anymore, and I have all these endorphins that
Right.
make me feel great, and I want to go back to the gym when I used to hate it.
Last question. When I saw you and your son using the machines, I would have rather seen Denise using it, okay, instead of you and your son, okay?
Yes.
And the bottom line is, it seems like the straps give you leverage that you otherwise wouldn't be getting if you were personally exploding with the weights by having your hands on it. Are you getting the full exercise benefit? Are you getting the negative when you're lifting? Are you getting the explosion, or is the leverage lessening the exercise?
No, it's actually, I can increase the load. Like, on that machine my son is using, I went up to 5 plates on each side, and I remember I did about 28 reps. I cannot even move more than 1 inch with my hands. So I get a lot of leverage, and I get to use my back muscles for that. Those 5 plates on each side, and on that exercise I was using 3 plates. When I put the 5 plates, that strength came from my back, not from my arms, and I couldn't do it. So imagine if you try to do with a forearm, lifting 5 plates of 45 pounds each on both sides, you're really turning it's one of the weakest muscles in your body. And you do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no wonder by Friday I didn't want to go to the gym. Now, I do have a great, what's called the isometric, that is, or what you say is negative. It allows me to do things I could never done before.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Vince.
We happen to have a personal trainer in the audience, a guy who owns a personal training studio. So, Kirsten, will you give Jesse a microphone? I'd love to hear what questions he has out of this.
How you doing?
Hi, Jesse.
I met with this guy a few months ago. My personal opinion on it, I like it. It does minimize the stress and the load on your forearms. It minimizes the range of motion on the lats, though. That could be an issue. I personally loved it, and I thought it'd be a great idea to not be so broad in your spectrum of who you're going to market to, but I really pushed him to market to physical therapists because that's a real locked-in market and a strong demographic. It enables you to just actually focus on one goal. Women, short-lived. It's not going to be a huge seller on them. It'll go in a gym bag for a day or two, and then after that, kind of sit by the side. Same with men as well. Well, same with men. Guys will use it for a while, and then after a while, all right, done. Part of lifting I enjoy is I want strong forearms. I want no weaknesses on my body. I also learned as I got older not to go as heavy as I used to when I was in my 20s. I have no need to break any world records, so everything I do is isolated, slow pauses, slow negatives, minimizing stress on my tendons. I personally would probably buy a couple from my personal training studio to use for some of my seniors or people that have hand injuries, arthritis. And that's what I believe I would discuss with you, that one day when we met, it would be ideal for people that suffer from arthritis, tendonitis, elite athletes, pro golfers, people that actually make money off stuff like that won't hinder the use of their forearms, and then focusing really on isolating your sales to physical therapy centers. That would be a real nice niche right there.
Good job, Sergio.
Thank you, thank you.
Being a woman, and I do lift, I used to compete, and since then I don't lift like I used to, but I do have scoliosis, and I do use wrist wraps, so I do rely on tools such as something that you have. I haven't seen anything on the market where you can save your elbows, and that's a big thing. A lot of women in our studio complain about tennis elbow and such. I have a few concerns. Being a woman, are my forearms going to fit in that? And are you going to come out with different sizes? Can I strap, like, I think that might be an issue run into. And also the range of motion. I think being able to adjust where the hand placement is, I would want further range of motion, especially with scoliosis. I'd like to be able to work my lat. And I would, like Jesse said, probably focus on your target market, and that's where you can really sell some of these.
Yes. If you had a chance to look at that belt is adjustable, okay, so you can adjust the length of it. And also, I foresee myself, having maybe 2 or 3 different sizes, But so far, I was able to live with that belt, like I said before, 5 plates on each side. So women are not going to have any problem using it. I haven't had any problems using it for any exercise I do. I do chest, I do back, I do bicep, triceps. I've done some legs with it. So now, do you see there is a Velcro there? Okay, that's what you use to adjust the diameter at the bottom. No. Let me just jump in.
I wasn't there that day. You
That's okay. Put it there. And then according to the type of exercise you do, you adjust the diameter there. Okay, and of course you can use it like this. This is the adjustable part. So you adjust this, and then you also can adjust this part. Okay, so you can go as far as that, or you can, of course, have a combination between this and this. So there's a lot of adjustability.
I only had one question that wasn't asked, and is this getting your full-time right now?
I'm sorry?
Is this getting your full-time effort right now?
So it was a little bit with during the writing the patent pending, and during this presentation, the presentation I gave Ben, it was very different than this one, right? So yes, it's been getting a lot of my attention, but now that I have a presentation that I can forward to investors and people interested from the field, I need to balance with my other business, which is manufacturing. I provide the service of what's called predictive maintenance. I develop a solution for minimizing machinery breakdowns. So at this moment, I'm investing a lot of my time on this because of what I really believe is that the opportunity is there for something disruptive, but this has to be done in a disruptive way. In other words, the software has to be finished, the belts have to be finished, the IoT sensors have to be installed, and then the book has to be finished. I see this as a whole solution. And Jesse, we talked a little bit about this, and he has a very good program himself on his gym. He doesn't have very just narrow-minded. He includes a lot of the measurements. So he was able to understand what it is that I want to do. So my approach is just to get this process as one right away and disrupt the market. Because what I foresee is a lot of these people that are doing the electronic sensors, that they're using the accelerometers, that have a lot of errors. They're going to try to try to either adjust my solution or my process, but at this moment, and Jesse, you're an expert in this area, I don't think there's anybody that came up with a solution like this, right? So my objective is to disrupt the market.
Just going back to my question, though, you plan on balancing your other job with this? Is that what you're saying?
Well, this is something that I can offload immediately because it's an idea, it's a solution. So, once I can put together a team with sales and marketing, develop on all these sales and marketing tools, then, penetrate the market, then this business can take off by itself.
Okay. We're going to go to the advice phase now, and we'll start with you, John.
I was never able to understand exactly what the benefit is or how it works. I think a demonstration with the belt would have been handy. I can see where you help someone lift more, but how does that make you more healthy? I think you need to work on your presentation to make the benefits more obvious. I was just unable to determine the actual benefits you've got, and I recommend you get somebody on your team who's a marketing salesperson who can help you put together a marketing plan, sales plan. I like the idea of the belt price-wise. It's tailor-made for internet sales like Amazon. If you can succinctly define the benefits, because it's such a cheap price, I would offer multicolors, I wouldn't go with black. And not much sizzle in that.
Pink for
You
women.
can't talk.
And that's just sometimes I've got anything involving health is a real hot topic right now. So if you've got something that promises or indicates improved health, man, you're going to have a big market for it. I just think you need to maybe go back to the drawing board a little bit on the presentation and they're very cheap, very fast, get you a website so someone can go there and see what in the world it is. Without a website, you got no chance. That's my thoughts.
Denise?
Sergio, I would definitely, there's a saying, stories sell, facts tell. And I think your presentation is more technical. I know you're more technical, but it's the simplicity. I think Ben said it best. He would have liked seeing, although he said me, it could have been any woman. But if somebody immediately sees a complete demonstration, I think that just having that video alone would automatically put people right where you would want them to be. I used the belt and I enjoyed it. I do agree with Tiffany. My experience, I was able to lift more. I definitely was able to do that. But I would like to have a little bit more flexibility with it, because not just women, but even men, say when you're doing pulling, you're used to starting here, so you're more extended when you pull. Well, if the belt is keeping you more restricted, you don't have that same range of motion. And I would like to have that, a little bit more range of motion with it. And then I love what John said, the colors. I was going to talk about that also. Colors mean a lot. They draw people in. Certain colors, automatically people are attracted to certain colors, not just pink, but blues or green. Colors mean a lot. And then lastly, just, not so much the technical side of it, but the emotional, the people, get people, as soon as they see your video on your website, immediately they're drawn into it. I love it. And I think that going to the rehabs and the different places, people that are going to use it every day, not just, a lot of times we get excited about working out, and it's like JC said, it's not just women, it's men too, but we get excited about working out, especially around New Year's. We get really excited about working out. And then a week later, one belt is over here, and another week later, the other belt is on the other side. And, then, well, I'm going to pick it up next week. And then next week, it'll go to another week. Same thing with, NutriBullets. And sometimes we put one on the counter. And, but if you can just target that audience that they're going to be using it ongoing, not just put it down, work out, put it down, but those industries, rehab facilities and places where this is what they have to give their patients a better experience. And then the marketing, sales strategies. Think about getting you some independent salespeople or a sales team or something, and a great marketing, somebody that can really go out and market your target audience. My advice. Liz?
So now I know why Charles is wanting me to be on the panel tonight. The biggest thing that I heard, just having the medical background that I've had, and I'm just educating you a little bit, is you have to verify those claims. Because you did say, I'm sleeping like a baby, everything is effortless, but when you're lifting, that's effort. So in a medical legal area, if somebody got hurt, could be an issue. One thing that you can do, since you're so passionate about data and information, is talk to people who are, I saw you had a lot of PhDs. Ask them if they've ever published any research. Ask them if they know anybody who's in medical research. Put together a little trial group. Say, I want 20 people to try this out. We're going to do this lean and mean. We're not really going to be able to pay anybody, but we want you to try it out, and here's the plan, and let's see what happens. And then you actually have data to back that up. So that's one thing. The second thing is that testimonial law in medicine has changed. Testimonial law, you are no longer allowed to just put up what somebody says, because the one person that loses 100 pounds in 3 days or whatever the crazy thing is, that's not going to be typical results. So remember, previously in advertising, you could have the star that said typical results may vary. You're no longer allowed to do that. You have to take your entire population of users and say, these are our average results. That's how they're keeping everybody more honest in medicine, because now you can't take a pill and grow, crazy amounts of hair and lose all your weight and, all that stuff. So I keep hearing that over and over again. It really sounds like you need to get yourself a little target population. And I also agree with what Denise was just saying. If you have a sales team, and again, you're doing everything lean and mean, and you're like, hey, I will pay you on commission. I want to see if this thing takes off and get it into those gyms. Something to think about. Every single entrepreneur has the mindset of unlimited resources. We are chronic, sophisticated gamblers, right? But you have unlimited resources. You don't have to have that many zeros in order to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish. So get creative in how you're going to make those sales happen, because when I asked you that question about why wouldn't you just sell X amount of product to get that 200K, you were like, that's the plan. And I'm like, why didn't you ask 20 people to buy it already? So you could have told us. I rolled it out here, here, and here, and I've already had this many sales. And the last thing is the 4 quadrants, and hopefully this brings you some value as far as advice. I heard you talking about 4 quadrants of people that you can market to in different ways with different messages. Number 1 would be executives. The executives are the ones who are going to want to be on your app and have it measure how well they're sleeping every night, because they know it's going to improve their performance the next day. They want to know, I ate this, this, and this, and then all of a sudden I could squat this and I could do this, so I'm going to stick to this kind of diet. Because they don't necessarily, not every single entrepreneur wants to get the $5,000 DEXA scan and go super deep on their health. You're going to have this middle market of executives that, the app and me sticking to a plan is enough. The second thing was hospitals and PT networks, sort of like what Jesse said. Physical therapists would be huge, because obviously they have injured clientele, and they're going to, what you're talking about with tennis elbow and a lot of these other injuries, that's a fascial issue. Now, when you're cutting into a steak and you see that interesting kind of rainbowy piece of tendon, that's fascia. When you get an injury, your fascia heals over the injury in such a way that you feel that pain even though the injury is healed. So in the case of what you're doing, the PTs would really be able to help your marketing message by saying, hey, here's how it works. Here are all the exercises that will allow you to have that complete range of motion, so you're not going to have, giant shoulders or lats and no forearm and whatever else. So executives, hospitals, and PT networks. Hospitals with the Internet of Things. If you can have your technology pushed to their EHR system, so the doctor who's telling the diabetic, if you don't start exercising, you will be dead in 3 months, can see whether or not they're going to the gym, that would be hugely valuable to like Baylor, Scott and White, organizations such as that. If you do decide to go after women, to Denise's point again, you have to have that tribe mentality. I would highly recommend you look at the women who are coaching with Thrive, Beachbody, any of those organizations. Look at how they do their marketing and their messaging to women. It's we're family, we're going on a retreat, we're on the beach together. Then you can figure out that market. And the last one, of course, would be gyms. It's a no-brainer if you tell a gym, hey, I tried out this many sales at XYZ gym location and it increased their revenue 2%, 5%, whatever that looks like. That's what I think all of us were looking to hear from you. Like, how are we going to make our money back? What's the benefit? Why do we want to roll with you? So that's my 2 cents.
You had an arbitrary $200,000 needed, okay? You got a video group here, you got a personal trainer and gym owner here. You had Denise up there. You had the personal trainer with Denise, and you had a video that went and showed exactly how the process works, the object works, and you point to the muscle area that it's benefiting and how it's taking the stress off, and you showed the various and sundry exercises that you can do with this on a video, with not you doing the video, but a personal trainer that believes in what you're doing. Then this is the thing that Gunther Rinker would put on TV, okay? The bottom line is you don't know how much money you need, okay? Because what you really need to do are all the things that you put up there that you needed to do. You've got to get all of your technology done. You've got to get your book written. You've got to get this video that shows you how to work it. If you watch anything on television about exercise, there's a video with everything that is being done, and you do it in your home and you lose weight or you get in shape. But you're going to have to make sure you've got your whole package all in one kit. If you're going to focus on physical therapy, you need to get a physical therapist to film a video and show how it benefits all the people in their genre, right? But you don't know that you need $200,000. You may need $1 million, or you may need $500,000, because until you complete all the idiosyncratic type things that are associated with this, you don't have the full picture.
You hit my buttons on a positive level, talking about the need for exercise and diabetes. I noticed today, coincidentally, I posted something on Facebook where I was working out at Lifetime Fitness. I passed out because my blood sugar had dropped low enough because I was taking blood sugar medications and I had been working out for several months, and so the combination of working out and the blood sugar medications didn't balance well, and I had to stop taking medications. What a great thing. So that does that. I mean, that's a good thing for me. You're in good shape. That's a good thing for me. Everything else I'm going to say now, I want you to take in a way to hone your presentation and be able to answer the things that I'm going to say. Don't take it as a dream killer, but these are my opinions from the presentation, and I think you need to answer them as you do another presentation. So I'm gonna agree with John. I didn't really understand what you were doing. I couldn't visualize you doing any other exercises. You showed the one exercise, I think, 4 times, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out how you're going to use that to do other exercises, and it just didn't add up in my head. What I think you really need to do is I think you need to do some industry research. I think you need to sit out there and talk to like the gym owners and figure out what the demand is and what the hot buttons are going to. When Jesse said he would buy 2 of them, scared me to death, and I was kind of like checked out as an investor, because that just told me there's not a very large, or at least in his case, that's not a very large demand. But I think if you can figure out how to work with somebody like a Jesse, other gym owners, or people in the fitness, and find something that's going to really be a hot button and get people to want it and want a lot of them, that's going to be important. But selling 1 or 2 to a gym, I don't think is going to make you, it's certainly not going to get me to being a billionaire, as you were saying you wanted to do. So as that, I just don't see it as a destructive product, or, market disruptor. I don't see it as a big seller. I was literally thinking in my head typewriter and pet rock. It just looks very basic. It doesn't look exciting to me. You said that you have another business. I'll tell you that as an angel investor, that's an automatic turnoff for me. Businesses that I've lost money in is because I don't have the entrepreneur's focus. And if I'm investing in something, I'm investing in the entrepreneur first, and I have to have their blood, sweat, and tears in it, and not have them think about anything else. So just think about that in your presentation as well. You mentioned Shark Tank a lot in there, and again, I don't want to be a dream killer here, but Abe, who runs Mark Cuban's investments, has been on the panel several times here, and one thing that he repeated over and over is that over 50,000 people a year want to be on the Shark Tank, and I may not have the numbers exact, but this is close for my memory, and they take 28 a year. So those are really low odds. I wouldn't put all of your eggs in the Shark Tank basket. By all means, if you get on there, you're going to get a lot of marketing, you're going to get a lot of attention on it. I certainly wouldn't not try, but don't make that the only thing that you try. Again, you said it several times. My instinct from what I've gotten out of this, again, I may not understand it fully, so again, what I'm really saying here is take what I'm saying and hone your investment, your presentation in the future. But my biggest advice that I would give you right now from what I know is take the product and sell it to somebody that's already selling something similar, or they're already selling something out there. So take your patent, take your idea, and go sell it. Because I can't see right now, if you're selling 2-to-1 gym, I can't see you making money out of it. I can't see you being able to pay a salesman to go out and sell it. But if you were to sell this to XYZ company who distributes the machines and all of that, then they could add that in as something that they sell and that they could make it profitable. That's what's off the top of my head. We're now going to go to the audience. Please, again, audience, if you make sure you're giving advice, not asking questions, stand up, face the camera, make sure the microphone's in your face.
Hi, Sergio. Thank you very much for bringing this product to us. I wanted to share, first of all, I do think you need dynamic instructional videos from start to finish that show the different areas, the different types of people that can benefit from this product. That would help for a lot of people because, like they said, stories sell. And when you're talking about fitness and you're talking about weight loss, people need to understand the journey. So if that's a woman and it's 30 days and here's the journey, if that's someone in rehab, if that's an elderly person, all of those things I think are important. And I think you need to look at packaging. Because to be honest, I wouldn't buy the belt, but I'd buy the system. So if you come to me with a system that says for $59.99 you get this fitness system, this training, this coaching, this advice, and this belt is kind of thrown in as an extra part of it, then I'd buy the system. So I think maybe there's a marketing strategy that you can turn around to help with the sales.
Sergio, I just had a couple of ideas for you, completely different than everyone else. My interests are in sales, and I've been hired by companies to train salespeople. No matter what the product is, train the salespeople. Features, benefits, whatever. If you're thinking the Shark Tank, I would say be like the pairs that come to the Shark Tank. You've got the engineer over here and the sales and marketing over here, okay? You stay in your place, let them do their thing, and create excitement for it. It's going to have to be something exciting. Go in, and you need this because this lady brought up a great point that made me think of something neat. I have a grandchild with special needs. He has no muscles in his legs or his arms. He's 12 years old and cannot ride a bicycle yet. Not because he's afraid, but just needs something to get him going. There are no muscles. These are just straight little legs and straight little arms. And she had a good point, maybe go to the groups that work with these people and individuals. It's going to take the entire United States to purchase your product for it to make some money, besides just 2 to a company or 3 over here. The entire United States, and someone actually giving the benefits and features, and you sticking with the engineering and then teaching the person that's doing the sales the graphs and the numbers, and have someone really expound on that. Anything can be done. I remember years ago selling a blind man a color TV and a VCR. You think, what? What are you talking about? The man could see visions and figures, things on the TV, and this is what he wanted. So you design a plan to show this person the benefits and features of the different things. But go that way, the individuals, and like she mentioned, each person that has a situation could use something like that. They don't know there is anything to help them right now, and work through that.
Hello, Sergio. Great presentation. A couple things. I believe the esteemed gentleman next to me is correct. You're kind of like a Steve Wozniak, and you really need a Steve Jobs to partner with and do the presentation with you. A couple things. You seem to be a little concerned about the revenue. A lot of us here are concerned about the revenue piece. You have to determine kind of what your ROI is. See how many it would take to get Sergio a Jaguar, and then back out. This is how many I need to sell. This is how much profit I need to make, and then go. How do I sell this many? I think there's and forgive me, there's a discrepancy in terms of kind of what the product is and what you think it is. I think there are two distinct different things. I think this is more of a physical therapy play. You would do better selling 40 of them to an assisted living center as opposed to selling 2 to a gym. I think that would be that would be an easier sale for a salesperson. I think your price point is also very low. I think if you could make it a part of a system, then and not sell it for $49.90, create a part of a system, but then sell it to the VA hospital, sell it to get involved that way, and then you have kind of what's like a detail person, which is a medical sales. Hang on, my notes shut off. And then, so do it that way, and then that way you can attract bigger people. Also, please don't take this the wrong way. I think the book is a horrible idea. I think that what you need is a YouTube channel. Sergio needs a YouTube channel. And I mean, we did that thing at 24 Hour Fitness in a couple minutes with a phone. And I think that if you had, a phone and a tripod and your own mics, which you could get everything done for under a couple $100. I think that you would see, then use that and have your salespeople go in and go, your assisted living center, you need 40 of these. Here's why. And that would be a better way to gain capital, and then a good way to show a track record. Because at some point, you're going to need to be able to show, look, I can make money off of this. And please don't do Shark Tank. That's like the entrepreneur's version of the band's going to make it, right? So I would not focus on Shark Tank. I would, work your project, work your product, work your marketing, and get it done. You're a very smart guy. I've known you for, a couple weeks now. You're a very smart guy, and so I think I'm a pretty good judge of people. He is. I mean, you're smart. You have an accent. You're fit. I mean, come on, the world's your oyster. So, So I think that I would do it that way. But anyway, so that's all I have.
First off, it takes a lot of courage to get up there and actually sell any kind of product, so good job. To give you some free advice, because I do love making videos, and obviously we should probably talk, but I think Liz capitalized on that, and so did Kim. I believe the YouTube channel is absolutely correct, even Facebook, even the videos. But let me show you how you get these videos really cheap and free. One of the things that I do very well is work with liquor companies. And when a liquor company wants to launch a product, they don't just go out there and tell the masses, I've got a great product. They try to find voices within the community that can sell it. I'll give you an example. That would be a bartender. If I own a liquor company, I want that bartender to love my alcohol. Because if it's a vodka, when someone comes up to the bar and says, hey, I want a vodka, well, what kind of vodka do you want? You know what? I'll tell you what vodka you want. So who is that for you? Those are trainers. I would suggest going to 24 Hour Fitness, Planet Fitness, any of them, and ask a trainer, would you like this free product? But in return, I'd love for you to give me 3 videos of you showing a different person how they used it and how the benefits came from it. They can shoot it right on their phone. They give it to you, and that's worth that $30 right there, having those 3 videos. You'll fill up that content, that YouTube channel, and it's not you talking about your product. It's someone else that's experienced. Of course, with therapy and everything like that, I definitely agree with, but if you're trying to get into the gyms, imagine if you go to 24 Hour Fitness, and let's say 20 to 30 of the trainers are actually using this, people who are watching are going to be like, what are they watching? Where can I get it? Well, you can get it right in the front. There you go.
All right, I'm going to make this really quick. I just thought of something when I tried the thing on. I wanted to give some feedback. I thought you got some great feedback from everybody here. I think maybe the most important was to do market research and just see where you want to land your product. With trying it on, had I not broke my ankle a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't have this advice for you, but I do. So I bought an iWalk because I broke my ankle. And one of the things that I don't like of the actual belt itself is that to adjust it takes a long time. And so for me to be left-handed and have to do the Velcro, I would maybe look into a pulley, like a strap that you can quick release. On my iWalk, I hook it, pull, strap, and I'm in. Maybe something you maybe want to revisit just that portion while you're doing your market research if you see a need to change and adjust the straps. Just wanted to pass that along.
We have time for one more. We're about at the end of our time to be live. Okay.
So Sergio, I only have one advice. You have one product, sell it. Go out there and sell your product.
Great advice. Okay, Sergio, you go ahead.
Just one thing real quick.
Okay.
My personal opinion, I've done this 24 years. After listening to everything, I honestly, personally, if I was investing, I would throw out the technology part of it. You have a great product. I would grab three industry expert, baseball, performance trainer, golf, and tennis. I would videotape them, like he said, show them the performance enhancement it gives them, minimizing stress on tendons, wrists. That's who you're going to sell to, and then a physical therapist. Narrow your spectrum down if you're going to market to. The technology is cool, man, but they're not going to use that. The customer will see the performance within a few weeks pretty quickly. That's a lot of money spent. I don't know if it's something that would, I don't know, that's my personal opinion on that, but those three industries right there would be great, and then physical therapy.
Sergio, you have 2 minutes to counter anything that you heard.
Well, so much information. But thank you, everybody, for all the feedback. One thing that I cannot convey is how I feel and how I can transmit that for you guys to feel how I felt. I can only do that by you guys testing this. And that's what I said. I still do not know if the way I'm using this, my proprietary process, is something that is only to me, and you guys test this and you go like, Sergio, it's not working for me, or it's something that we do not know, or you guys do not know how it works until you try it. Now, if you try it, I show you how, and you feel the same way I feel, you're going to be buying one for each of your customers, Jesse, and each of your customers is going to be asking for one. Now, that is one if, okay? I do believe that, I worked out all my life. I never felt this way. When I played rugby, it was running your knees, your hips, you were telling your story, cycling, the other one, so forth. So you have to feel this, you have to try it out. Secondly, on the, Denise and Jesse, you were talking about the travel distance. You waste your time from here, and this is an example in the back. From here to here, you don't do nothing. You go back, all the way back in here, when you have your muscles stressed at max, and that is where you gain all the strength that you cannot when you just pull up to here. And you just do it, you hold at max for a few seconds. Okay, I'm holding at max for, I'm sorry?
You don't have a mic, so they can't hear you.
So, when you pull at max, all the muscles back in there are working, okay? The same thing with chest. When I do chest, and you saw my son doing it, all the muscles were just contracting in there. When you do bench, it's just a little range, okay? So I'd rather lose distance that is not used for pulling either here or here, and focus when the muscle is at full extent, either here or back in here, okay? And that applies for every muscle, the same thing with bicep. You don't win anything, you don't earn or gain anything when you do this. You gain when you're at max, all your muscles tight at the max. With respect to the sales and marketing, I agree with everybody here. That's the reason why I'm here, okay? And then another answer to you, Jesse, I do believe that the technology, the belt with the IoT and all the feedback on the software is the way of the future. I don't have any doubts about it. Because if you don't see the growth, the benefits, I think that's the reason why people don't work out. They just don't get that feedback.
Give Sergio a big round of applause.
Thank you so much.
One thing I'm going to say to what Matthew, I think it was Matthew, said earlier was it takes a lot of courage to get up here and talk. So I want to give you a big hand for that one. You certainly stood up there with courage, and I know everyone in here, including myself, wants to see you be highly successful.
Thank you.
So keep in touch.
You bet. Thanks, Charles.
So thanks everybody for watching and coming. Let me just repeat something Denise said earlier and make sure everything's on the calendar. On September 13th, we do something once a year with what's called Cornbread Hustle. So with Cornbread Hustle, they do a mostly it's ex-felons that come in. And it's an education process to get them into the jobs they want or become entrepreneurs. And they do a pitch contest once a year. Now, this is an especially interesting one because Sherry, who runs it, does PR for Mark Cuban. And so each year, she asks Mark Cuban to come. Last year, Abe came in Mark Cuban's place. Who runs all of his investments, and that's how I've gotten him to be on the boardroom several times. But it could be an interesting time if Mark shows up. I keep getting hopeful. I want to be able to say Mark's been out to the house. So that's going to be September 13th. It's different. It's a pitch contest, and it's for the participants that were in the class. So again, that's coming up on September 13th. September 20th is our next boardroom, so write that down on your calendars. We don't have, I don't think, every time I say we don't have a presenter, the next presenter is in the room, and Matt, I don't remember them. Has anyone in here already been promised you're the next presenter? Denise, have you promised that out to anyone? Okay, so in case you wanted to present, it is open. Next on the calendar, as Denise said, is October 10th, our Attain Any Goal seminar. That's something that I do for my employees generally twice a year. I believe in it so much. It's a process that I've adapted from Tony Robbins, but it's a process to take you through your limiting beliefs, your subconscious brain, to figure out what it is that you really want, and you work through a plan all day long to get you to figure out what it is you want and come out with 3 solid goals that's going to pump you for the rest of the year. At the end of the night, we go out and we have an optional fire walk. You don't have to watch. You can learn just as much about fire walking by watching other people walk. But if you ask any of the people in here that are fire walkers, you're going to walk and you're going to love it. So that's a full day seminar on October 10th. And then that Saturday night, October 13th, is one of my favorite events of the year, and that's the Night of Superstars. So this will be my 3rd year going. Kimberly's been involved in it. Adina's been involved in it. Denise has gone with me. But the Night of Superstars, there's now about 800 to 1,000 people that go. It's an incredible night. So what it does is we're honoring 10 kids with special needs that have done something phenomenal. And it starts with a big red carpet. All the audience is on either side, black tie affair, cameras going. The kids are walking down the red carpet with an escort. They're signing autographs. They're getting their picture taken. Somebody from the news is at the end interviewing all the kids. And then we go into a black tie dinner affair. Afterwards is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and that is the dance. These kids are glowing. They are grinning from ear to ear because they're the stars and they're out on the dance floor. And I'm making Kimberly cry over there. They are the stars for the night. And the first year I went, I drank a lot, and I'm crying the whole time during the dance. And I'm thinking that it's because I drank so much. So then I stopped drinking, and the next year comes, and I'm out on the dance floor, and I hadn't had a drop of anything, and I cried the entire time, but it was tears of joy. I'd love for all of you to come out. Tables for a table at 10 is $2,500. You can get a seat for $250 if you want one seat. Love for you to come out. Please do sponsor a table if you can. If you can't, just just come join us and you can sit. I got 4 tables, so I need to fill them up too. So come out and join me if you can't sponsor a table. So that's the next 2 months. Please hang out, meet people, have some snacks, have a drink, make some great business partners. And again, thank you for coming out. Have a great evening.